Yeah, so the increase of homelessness, suicides, homicides, like, it's pretty funny to watch all these psychiatrists lie, and medical professionals in general for an industry. These are the same professionals who lied to me about pain management back when their main shekel source was the opiates. Remember, the opiate crisis was caused by the medical industry. By prescription opiates. It was legal. It was through hospitals, clinics, doctors, psychiatrists. Like, oh, they lied about life without pain so they can make money. That doesn't mean they'll lie for marijuana. They only lied for the opiates. Like, there is no actual evidence marijuana helps PTSD. Anecdotal testimony is not evidence because anecdotal testimony can be falsified. But pretending that it does help PTSD, like just taking these lies at face value, that would classify marijuana as an antipsychotic. And that means that it has a chemical potency of a dopamine blocker or a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Antipsychotics cause psychosis in non-psychotic individuals who have a healthy neurochemical balance, which I think is related to the limbic system, the gland activity, hormones, things like that. Like one of the biological markers of schizophrenia is the hyperactive hypothyroid gland, which I think has something to do with the schizophrenic low rates of cancer. At least lung and throat cancer. But I digress. So, on top of that, all the evidence points to the fact that it's making things worse as far as mental health in the United States. The surge of violent crime, the increase of suicides, the increase of homelessness, etc. This psychiatrist has to know that. This is a well-educated individual. But for him to say it, he would lose money. So you have to assume that his motivations are not altruistic. He might disguise them as altruism, but that is a facade, a mask, a fraudulent appearance. What's on the surface does not reflect what's beneath the surface. So a lot of the junkies and drug pushers like this scumbag that I've previously discussed this with will say, well, correlation does not equal causation. And my response is correlation does not eliminate causation. More often than not, correlation leads to causation, and rarely, but occasionally, there are exceptions where it does not. And that's where you get the false, the fundamental attribution error. Yeah, so, like, it's fucking wild to witness the rich and powerful people who run society. People. Not only do they put profit over everything else, like, they don't give a shit. The same way this Ask a Psychiatrist guy does not give the slightest fuck whose lives are destroyed by their marijuana profits. Right? The suicides, the homicides, the vehicular fatalities, etc. They could not care in the fucking slightest. I was attending a Marijuana Anonymous group, and this woman was fighting to get her son off marijuana. And the son listened to rat piece of shit psychiatrists like this guy, and he's like, nah, man, the psychiatrist on YouTube says it's fine, man. And he fucking committed suicide. Like, the last time we saw her in the meeting, she was crying because she had lost her battle. She lost her son to marijuana. He wasn't doing any other drugs. Just marijuana. Fucking suicide. And she showed pictures of him in high school, like before he started using marijuana. Healthy, muscular, clear-eyed, cognitively present, stuff like that. And then after marijuana, he was like, he looked very, very bad. Very unhealthy. Like, lost a lot of weight, lost a lot of muscle. I think he lost a tooth. And you could just tell the difference in his appearance of when he was on marijuana and off marijuana. And on marijuana was mental ill, and off marijuana was mentally healthy. You could literally see it in the clothes that he wear, his hygiene, his haircut, etc. So, if this mom was to tell the psychiatrist this, he might, on the surface, be like, "Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that." And just bullshit, right? Just feed a bunch of bullshit. But in reality, his actions speak louder than his words. And his actions are, "Fuck your son, lady. I'm glad he killed himself so I can make money." Like, that's basically what all these marijuana pushers are doing. That's what they're saying with their actions. The same thing they said with the opiates, right? Like, we don't give a shit who our fucking business kills as long as we get the money. So, it's just wild to witness this plutocracy, these rich and powerful individuals weaponize their ownership of YouTube and the Google and social media, etc. so effectively that they don't care what eggs they break to get their omelet. They don't care about the suicides, the homicides, the homelessness, etc. They only care about the money. And this psychiatrist is clearly that. And that's why he's lying. But he's very, very effective at it because he comes off as like, rational and objective and professional and articulates very intelligently. So, and he has that professional voice too, like his tone of voice and stuff. So it's like he's very effective at subverting the population to believe lies. Like, he even has a video on cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. So you're like, oh, yeah, you see, he is objective. If that were the case, he would oppose legalization. Because cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, like, I didn't even know what it was or that it existed until legalization caused it to skyrocket. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's causing the bad things to happen, but that's why we should legalize it. You know how much money psychiatrists have made off of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome? It's like a gold mine.